Noon again. Could I invite John Wright from the Akaroa Fishermen's Association? Welcome. Hi, we've all read your submission, so please highlight your main points, and if there's time available for questions, then we'll move on to those. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the main point of my submission is that we feel that the Akaroa wharf is somewhat neglected. It's in actually a disgusting state, particularly health and safety wise. We note that there's quite some money, $10 million allocated to the long-term plan for the Akaroa wharf. We would like to see it spent on the wharf and not on consultants and such, and the Akaroa Fishermen's Association would dearly like to be involved in the planning of the wharf. As you know, we have the cruise ships come to Akaroa. It's very competitive at that stage. We, as fishermen, we have to travel some distance now to parking and servicing our vessels. I think that's the main point. Definitely that the wharf is in a very bad state of repair, and that there's not a day during the cruise ship days that there's accidents. Nothing totally serious, but it's waiting to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's really good that you've highlighted that point. You're not the only one to do so, I hasten to add. So, but you've left plenty of time for questions. So, Tim, Yanni.
Thank you. I really like your suggestion with regards of you guys being involved in the designers and you're the commercial users of it. Has that been motive with staff? Has that been brought up with staff to discuss?
Well, as Association President, we've discussed this in length, and we've actually submitted a plan to the Community Board in Akaroa of what we would like. And like I say, if the council come to the point where they are going to spend some serious money on the wharf, we'd definitely like to be able to get round the table with you know, the likes of the Christchurch City Council, the engineers that build it, and have some input into it, because after all, at the end of the day, we're the users of the wharf. The Akaroa wharf in Akaroa is a functional, you know, it's a place where most people come to Akaroa, they walk along the wharf.
Thank you.
Very good. Yanni and then Aaron.
Yeah, I was interested in 2 points in your submission. One, you talk about the wharf's poor maintenance, the uneven surface and the deteriorating condition. My understanding from the council commissioned report, it's got 5 to 10 years of good life left in it. Yeah, so I guess I'd be interested in your response to that. And the second point in your submission that I had a question on was, you talk about the Black Cap getting a building extension and then stage 1 being built. I just wanted to know if you guys were consulted over the Black Cap building extension, because it was just a little bit unclear from the submission about whether there'd been any community engagement or discussion with you over that.
Yeah, thank you. First point, I can tell you of a repair job that was done on the wharf over a hole that had rotted away, and it was repaired with a piece of rotten ply. That's, you know, that's a disaster waiting to happen. A local guy, Tony Muir, took photos, presented them to the Community Board of holes right next to the edge of the wharf where an elderly person perhaps could step in that hole and go straight over onto the deck of a boat. It is a serious concern. Point 2, the Black Cat. We have had a lot of issues with the Black Cat. We understand from Angus Smith, council member, that none of the furniture, so-called furniture, on the Akaroa wharf has got consent. And we have problems with ambulances, fire engines and that sort of thing, getting down the wharf past other vehicles, like 2 vehicles can't pass on the wharf now, and they used to be able to. Years ago, there was tons and tons of fish taken off the wharf in big trucks, and I mean big trucks. That can no longer happen. And yes, we have a really serious concern over the Black Cat premises. I've been to several community board members where Andrew Turner's been present, and Andrew Turner has admitted that the building of the Black Cat over the Fisherman's Landing, it's a public space, was a council error. And so, as an association, we would have liked to have thought that the council would be very proactive in rectifying the matter. We have had from Jeff Woodham a meeting Monday night, Fishermen's Association in Akaroa, and he submitted a plan of a part-way removal of the so-called furniture. I've been using the wharf commercially for nearly 50 years, and I know when Red and Dobby built that Black Cat premises as a cray factory, they were not allowed to have, they were allowed to abut to the wharf, but they were not allowed to have a footprint on the wharf. Ken Poulin was the district engineer, and he was adamant about that. And so how it's evolved to get to the present point where they're quite some distance out onto the wharf, and I'm talking metres, we have ramps, poles supporting advertising, that sort of thing, and it's a serious issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, this question isn't as serious as that. It's just looking at your name. Are you related to the Christchurch famous chef Darren Wright?
He's my son.
Oh, is it? Oh, congratulations. He's,
Thank you.
He's in the New Zealand. Well, he's in the New Zealand Olympic cooking team, and it runs Chillingworth Road for those that haven't been. And he will be at a fundraiser in a couple of weeks for the Dingle Foundation. So yeah, tickets available now.
That was a... Oh, Andrew.
Thanks, John, for taking the trouble to come from Akaroa today to present this submission. I mean, I'm as aware as you are of some of the difficulties that have been with some of the issues that you raise in the submission. I'm also aware of work that's going on between the community board and staff to resolve some of those issues and the length of time some of that has taken. So we will get to a resolution of some of the issues that you've raised. Having said that, the final resolution of some of those issues will be in the development, the redevelopment of the wharf. So that's where your submission is particularly helpful. Now, there's a tendency for us to, I guess from Christchurch, think of the Akaroa wharf as been predominantly about tourism and visitors and the cruise ship passengers and so on. I'm very aware of someone that's close to Akaroa that there's a whole fishing industry operates from there, and there are other activities take place on that wharf as well. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the way that a fishing operation works on that wharf, and perhaps the number of fishing vessels and some of the other activities that take place on there other than just tourism related activities?
Well, certainly, Andrew, thank you. But the fishing has taken a secondary role now to the tourism. I can remember in the 90s and that sort of thing, we'd have 40 or 50 fishermen present at local meetings. We were affiliated to the Commercial Federation of Fishermen. The entry of the quota system was the main point in the reduction in fishing effort. A lot of guys were at the point of retiring. They took the golden handshake and exited the industry. Since then, tourism has really evolved. We have 3 major operators out of Akaroa, and we feel that the setting up of the wharf in the latter stages, and that was the introduction of the 2 pontoons, that's good, but we have a situation where, as you know, the Fisherman's Landing was built over. That represents probably 20% of the landing. So at the moment, it's very competitive for space at the wharf. Now, I understand that the 2 major tourism, Black Cat and Akaroa Dolphins, have a time schedule for the pontoon immediately adjacent to the Black Cat premises, which is great. But as a fisherman and other operators, we could arrive because of the weather, the tides, the time of day, anything at all. So we can't be locked into a time schedule for the use of the wharf. We have one other member, Hamish Menzies, who's a mussel farmer, and he is not allowed to operate on a cruise ship day. He cannot land his product. Unfortunately for him, mussels don't have a lifespan. It's water temperature, it's all sorts of varieties of reasons control his effort. His alternative is to take his product to Littleton, which is quite out of the question. So he has a real problem. Is that sufficient, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I think you've demonstrated the competition there is for space between the various different users of the wharf.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you.
Look, thank you very much, and much appreciated that you came all this way to present. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors.